transmitter or no superconductor or any of that, because the electromagnetic pattern of consciousness, which we know as thought waves, which we know as telepathy, is all that was necessary for her to have a proper connection with that ship. Her mind building that ship with a synchronization ideal that they can function as one is what made her be the person that could have a connection with that ship, where that ship can function to her conscious thoughts. This is what you can do when you know you are a goddess or God. But if you wait on Jesus to give you knowledge to do that, you'll just be stuck on earth going to church every Sunday.
And powering the whole entire ship through it. Very advanced communicative technology. So advanced it makes a person look like they're psychic almost, but it's just technology. And that's a very good look at the device here and here. And this is just mind-blowing technology, just very mind-blowing. You got to really wrap your head around it. You know, here are more of the braids.
Look, let me show you something. It's a star. Look at that. See? Isn't it? Look, that star. That's what it is. A 5-pointed star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just what it is. The star of what they call, well, I'm not going to go there, but trust me, I can show you that later. I'll show you later what I'm talking about.
What the old world used to look like. And if you notice how her mouth isn't an expression of fear or kind of an expression of panic, it's because she was frozen to death. So apparently she was basically in a state of terror at the time that she died. This is one of the astronauts trying to find a way to remove the tubes off of her face without damaging her face. He's trying to find a way in there. I want you to take a very good look at this note because it's very, very important. This is actually a piece of paper of the ancient language of the old world. This was the language that we used to speak a long time ago. This was the language that we had before the Tower of Babel, that incident that busted up all the languages of the earth.
No, see, this is what I'm talking about. How can he say that? I mean, it's like, he has nerves. Here you go now. They want to make himself be the ancient person. And they Babel, the Tower of Babel and all that, which is like, come on, you can't give us that crap, all right? You cannot. You're not going to come out here and be finding ships on the moon bigger than New York, all right? With black people piloting it, and then all of a sudden you're going to come up and tell me the most ancient writing is your Babylon writing, and the people here on Babylon is not even great enough to do the shit that you have just showed us a picture of this woman on the moon, and now you're going to call this writing ancient writing, that's the writing of God and all that old crap, when you got something that makes this look like the wrapper that the bubblegum came in. Now what do you want, the bubblegum or the stupid wrapper? Get real. This is why this stuff pisses me off, and this is why the world is so stupid. Now look, just because he tells you this is the oldest writing on earth and take credit for being these smart ass people that wrote this, don't listen to him. They want me to tell you why? Because nowhere in this writing is they going to be able to tell you how that lady in that spaceship ended up there on the moon. And if they can't tell you that, then they're not giving you a complete spectrum of how your universe works, so they're not a reliable source.
This note is written in cursive writing, and what you have up top of here, and this is from an analysis of the note.
And then one more thing I want to point out to you too is that it's a excuse me, it's a scroll or it's a sketch. It's not in stone. It's on some type of sketch they done brought to you.
We have not been able to translate the note or figure out the components of the lettering. We have been able to figure out its vocal intention, however, And we have been able to figure out that it's a note styled after the type of notes that we see today. Basically what you have up here is a name and a date. And what we have here is a very long explanation of something that we don't know. But vocal contention is that they spoke many, many words in a row. Like a sentence that we would break down is probably one long continuous sentence for them in the way they spoke. And that's about as far as I can get with that. This is about as far as any investigation has been into that. It's a combination of basically cursive writing that's similar to English cursive writing, and the letters are almost similar to English. So what we have here, is a more close-up look at what we're speaking on here. You notice that it's very cursive, but you notice how the sentences just continue to go on. And you notice it's more cursive here, designed, but the sentences don't have a cutoff, they don't have a punctuation mark or a dot. They just...
Now remember, I'm not trying to be mean, but I just want to point out to you that everything that they find, they always want to take credit for it being European, but we know that was not a European in the ship, and we know that's not a European ship. But now this literature, again, sketch. Anytime there's a sketch, they can make them go with like Sumeria clay tablets. Small little square things that since they control the media and everything, they can put in your face and tell you what it is. You have no choice but to accept it if you don't have a broad mind. A broad mind will tell you, this ain't shit. You can't give me this after you just gave me a huge spaceship with an ancient lady body inside of it. And then, you want to give me the writing that you find to be English. But you ain't showing me no Englishmen anywhere. It's hard that y'all asses went up there with your outdated primitive ass equipment, alright? Hate to be rude, but I think we live in a world where certain things need to be exposed so we can all educate ourselves and grow.
Just continue to go on, and they continue to go on. Then you have a more type of high signia right here.
Speculative, rhetorical crap.
This is to show the kind of language they spoke, how they spoke continuous sentences. As we would stop or pause, they would continue to go. And their whole entire language was almost like a song. This is done in songs. Songs do this. When a person sings a song, it's a continuous chorus. It's just going on, and you understand what the song is. Their language was similar to that. And it's just very fascinating. I wish I was able to tell you more. I wish I was able to translate the whole thing, but we no longer speak this language, and so that's why we're not able to. The paper is green, by the way.
The green like a sock. But this is the thing that kills me. How can he take credit for that and say we, when he did not give the woman that he found in the ship credibility to be from Earth? He disowned that. He never one time said she looked like the African woman of the Earth. Never one time. But then all of a sudden, they find this green piece of paper, and he wants to claim it as his ancient writing. Under what claim is what I'm asking? Under what claim? Did you find a civilization there with George Washington statue sitting in there and all that little shit? How can you take this piece of found scripture on the moon and claim it as our ancient, well, their ancient writing? I know he don't mean me when he say that. What I'm saying is, what justifies this being anything of an earthling when he finds it on the moon and he knows for a fact that he just went visiting there himself? So how can this writing be claimed as being his ancient ancestors?
Which is quite interesting. They factored different color paper back then. And this is black ink, by the way. And interesting tradition says that it was Enoch who came up with black ink. So that's kind of interesting. There would be people tell you they didn't have black ink back then. Tell that to the people.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they didn't have black ink, we need to go into the temples of Egypt and tell all those pictures of all those black ass pharaohs. We got their faces painted with the darkest black paint ink you can find, that they're not supposed to be there. Even as old as they are, their faces are still there, still black as hell from that black ink that they had in Egypt way back. So I don't know what he's talking about, but again, And then the whole Enoch thing is still a part of the civilization of the melanated man and woman that's trying to be plagiarized again. You know, it's just, it really bothers me. It's like I'm a broken record, because every time I look around, you got these new people that come on the earth and want to steal the history of us melanated people and push us completely out of the picture and claim it for themselves. And that's a bunch of bullshit. This color green is the color of a sock. We all know that. And the color black is the color of melanin. We all know that.
Piece of paper. And so it's quite interesting. This is another note that was found on it. And the interesting thing that we found out with this note was that there was 3 people who signed off on it. Here, here, and here. All we know is that from analysis is that these could be names and a date and another message here. And the funny thing is that these notes were like found all throughout their bodies, or where their bodies were at. It's a sneaky suspicion that they were writing their last will and testament, and that's what these notes could have possibly been, because they're very eerily found where the bodies are, and they seem to have just been scattered, like something real bad was coming down on them, which was the effects of the flood. And one of the things people will observe in terms of what people do when they're about to die is usually they write things and they say goodbyes and stuff like that. You know, for all this note writing, I guess they never thought to pray, you know. They lost faith at that point. This is more what I'm talking about. This is another...
Here's the deal. They didn't lose faith. They knew they were gods. They were not bowing down praying to no God. See, this is the reason why he should stop trying to make these people be synonymous with his people, because everything is not supporting that. Everything is saying, no, we was totally different than that. See, what you're trying to do is take claim of something that you have nothing to do with, because you just crept your ass in here in your dilapidated ass spaceship with your freaking life support, breathing apparatus all on you and everything. We were walking around on the moon with none of that stuff on. That's the civilization that we are. And sorry, sir, you cannot take claimage in that. You have nothing to do with this. Okay, this is what you do on Earth. You go destroy all kinds of civilizations, murder people, and usurp their governments, and then sit back and try to say, well, these structures were here and we don't know where they came from. You know where they came from. You know you murdered all the people who these structures belong to when you got here. So now you go to the moon and you see the same remnants of these people up there, and you want to try to claim it for yourself. But that ain't gonna fly, because see, this stuff right here and all the other stuff that you see on the moon, it's all way ancient, old, or way older than him.
No. So far you've seen 3 different notes so far, and this is another piece of note with the same deal. Just some long sporadic writing that we're seeing there. And what the astronauts did was that they put all these notes in these Ziploc bags that you're looking at here. These white bags that you're seeing right here is the bags that they use to put the bodies in. And basically they're just sorting out the notes and filming it for NASA's viewing pleasure, basically. And but when you're looking at this, a lot of people look at that and go, what exactly is that? These are computer circuits, by the way. And these are actually very advanced computer circuits. These are circuits that have been attached to a blanket. I kid you not. And apparently this blanket was draped on the pilot, actually. This part right here is some of her lower body. And the covering was here, where her stomach is, and this right here was part of her leg. And for some reason this covering was on half of her body. And it's believed that it may have something to do with, there's 2 theories on it. One is that the covering is some type of computer circuit board that's used for the ship. Another one is that it's an example of transhumanism technology, that this daughter of man, this specific female, had cybernetic implants in her. And one of that was this type of covering that was on her leg. which is telling us that the technology back then that they achieved in terms of cyborg technology was very real. And this is a piece of it that's on her. And much of the transhumanism doctrine that's coming out with the connection to what happened in Noah's time very much supports transhumanism rather than it being a device that's part of a piloting function.
Well, see, that's just speculation. I'm not listening to that. That is, if you understand the way the world works, that is them. They are always the one who want to come up with the bionic man, the bionic woman. You know, your fake titties ain't good enough. We're going to give you some plastic titties. That's their world. All right? So don't try to push that on everybody. All this is speculation. All of it. I believe that the universe is capable and have already proven that it can make a human being out of melanin with the fragile bodies that we have that will be capable of doing any feat that the universe implement, anoint, and appoint them to do. So all the employment of all this other artificial add to your body stuff, what would be the need of that when she was already encapsulated in that huge ass ship?
It's mind-blowing technology, by the way. It's hard to know exactly what it did for her when it was attached to her. This is a more close-up shot of it as you're looking at it.
It's rhetorical.
It's hard to know what it exactly did for her. There's a lot of theories. It could have increased strength or speed.
Let me explain to you what he's going to say. He's going to give a whole bunch of reasons that she needed that to be capable of being that pilot, because her physical anatomy that was given to her by the universe just wasn't capable because of the fact that she was a woman. Why don't you see if that's what he's not going to try to do?
It could have done a lot of different functions like that. And those are usually the main functions, is to increase the strength of a human being by using cybernetic parts.
See there? See?
And that's what all of this stuff is, basically. This is a more close-up.
But now I guarantee you, if that was Captain Kirk ass that was there, he wouldn't have had no need for that, because he would have been the white man who was already very capable of pulling off anything necessary by his physical gift of anatomy given to him by his true creator Jesus. See, this is the garbage I be talking about. They're attacking this lady because she's female and because she's melanated. You notice they never said anything about the fact that, it's amazing that this is a melanated woman that proves to you that women are and have been capable of commanding and pulling off great feats of accomplishments and all. None of that. None of that. Nowhere. Just pushed under the rug, contrary to the fact that we in America doesn't let women have these type of privileges and everything. And you can see that we're the only people that think like that, because here it is, obvious in your face, that this woman was revered and a person of high standard. None of that. None of it. But then all of a sudden, she was incomplete, so we made this blanket for her to bring her up to standard so she'd be capable of piloting this ship. This is why our world is full of decadence, because of this type of brainwashing. That woman was capable with her physical anatomy that was given to her by the universe creator.
Shot of it. And it's mind-blowing. It's unlike any circuits that you've ever seen or known. These are circuits that are far more advanced than what you would ever have known. Then they work far, far better than anything you can think of in terms of what we're dealing with now, or what the government will have you think that we're dealing with now. This is a more close-up shot of it to get you to really wrap your head around the circuit board of it. When you're looking on the surface of it, it almost feels like a smooth type of painting, almost, or a smooth type of paper, cardboard paper. But when you look further into it, you see that there's actual computer circuits inside of it. And these are the up-close shots of these circuits, and they're just basically coursing throughout it. Particular implement, and they're attached to her skin, by the way, and that's why the transhumanism technology makes far more sense, because it's very much attached to her actual person. And what you're seeing here is more parts of her body. This is a more up-close shot of her leg, and up-close shot of her body frame to kind of give you an example of what happened to her skin, or a close-up, more the telescopic close-up look of her skin. And basically you can see how it's, you know, it seems like instead of decaying, it's chipping. And so that's fascinating. The skin.
Well, it's not fascinating to me because I watched a lot of this footage on this lady who they happen to name Mona Lisa, which I think the name was not fitting, okay? Because it's obviously that she was a melanated woman. They could have called her something a little bit more melanated, you know what I mean? I mean, like, come on, you know? But who cares about all that? I mean, it is what it is. Even the lady they found in Tanzania, they named her Lucy. The own fossil remains of her, you know? So that's just, it is what it is. That's how they roll. But my thing is, when they found this body had a sheath over it, a preservative type of sheet over it, which means that either that was her uniform that she wore, all right, which was very small, thin, like plastic type of coating that they took off. And when they took that off, that is what started the decadence to her physicality. I saw them in the video that I watched cut that thing off of her. It was some real clear.
It's very hard, and it
clear
looks like it's the type of skin that
paper that
really would
covered
take a
her
lot
body.
to cut it. And so it's very strong skin. It's not, you can see how far humans have degenerated. We literally decay. We don't chip away. But back then they chipped away before they actually decayed. And fascinating. And what you're seeing here is her co-pilot, and the co-pilot's head was severed. And so what you're looking at here is the severed head that they found.
More braids.
And it was right next to her. This co-pilot didn't have
Same thing,
the implements attached to her.
Look at this.
And where
the
she
snake.
was found,
You
actually,
raised
she was
serpent.
found a few.
Wow, imagine that. Wow, look at that. I can't believe that. Well, this was her pilot. Let me show you something. I want you to look right here. See this area right here? Look at that. You see how that looks like? If there's something there put in the top of her forehead. Do you see it? This is right here. We know what that is. That's the pineal gland right there, where those straps came from, the pilot eye. Remember the straps went from her eye to there? And they took them off on the other lady. Now remember, this is her co-pilot. This lady's head is being cut off. And I think I know why. Look at this. You see that? You know what that looks like to me? That looks like this. Look at here. The snake. That's what it looks like. The snake right there. See it coming out the top of the head? Do you see it right here? You see it, right? Okay, now look, imagine this right here, being the base of that, like you see at the base there, on top of the lion's head. That's what that is. You see, they completely didn't let you see that. And I don't have proof that that's what that is. I don't. But it really looks like that to me. That's what it looks like to me. See, they would go up there. Now, we already done seen earlier that there was pyramids there. So listen to what I'm saying to you. The story of the god Sekhmet flying around in these spaceships, bringing justice and relief to oppression and justice to oppressors. Okay, the oppressed get liberated and the oppressors get incarcerated. This lady right here is obviously a goddess with the Uraeus serpent power on her head, showing you the connection with the pineal gland as well as Arjuna chakra center on top, which is your seventh chakra. They cut her head off, if they did, because of the fact that she was this great goddess. Now, the thing about it is that the spiritual energy inside of these people can come and go as they want. But my point is this: the fact that she was female as a pilot and then her co-pilot was female too is letting you see the whole claim that I bring to you about the universal forces being feminine And the whole war waged in the universe is feminine warriors. Okay? That's what I want you to focus on, all right? Now, this is proof to my story that the all-encompassing universal spiritual energy is feminine, because you're looking at it right now. 2 women on that ship, because the men are inside of them, because they have the genetics to make men wherever they go. So whenever you have a woman, you have polarities, a man and woman inside of her that she can produce in a manifestation. Man cannot produce manifestation. Man can only beg the woman to let the manifestation she produced have his spiritual essence inside of it. So it'd be privilege for a woman to reproduce for a man. That's the way it was in the ancient days. That was the concept that we knew to be so. These were always goddesses in our realm of thought. Just like you can see her right there.
I understand about 15 to 16 inches away from the pilot, and her head.
Even if this white man don't want to say that, he know that's what he's looking at.
Was found about 16 inches away, with her other body parts being found in pieces. One thing you gotta understand, the astronauts' impression of it, when they came onto the site of it, the Apollo 20 crew, was that they felt that a violent incident took place at this time, because the body parts were in pieces, which hence that they were hacking at each other toward the end of it. The pilot seems to have been preserved for 2 reasons. She may have been the captain, and having privileged knowledge, she may have tried to get away while this was happening, and but basically wasn't able to escape. The meteorites that blew open onto the moon caused a freezing on the moon, that basically if anybody who didn't get taken out by the blast was going to get taken out by the freezing effect. She seemed to have survived the blasting effect, but got caught in the freezing effect, which happened pretty much simultaneously right after the blast. And that's as far as it's known. And what will eerily shock you is that a lot of old world technology that's found all have...
Let me tell you what I know happened. The spiritual energy left these bodies. They had no more use for the bodies. These were some very wise people. If his story is true, they would have known that all that stuff that happened to them was going to come. You're not going to be walking around vibrating off your pineal gland as a goddess that knows everything, omnipresent, omnipotent, vibrating on pure spiritual God energy, and then stay in an area that you don't get frozen in because you didn't know it was going to get that cold. No, that don't happen. Okay, what happened was these bodies right here that they was encapsulated in, they had no use for them anymore. They jumped out of them and bounced. They went wherever they needed to go. That's the way spirit works. You see that around you all the time on earth. It's called death. But it's not really death. It's called recreation. So the reason they found these bodies frozen and cut their heads off is because of male anger. Like you see, they tore up these chairs in Egypt where the queens sat in, right? So it's just really their egoism being disturbed and crushed by the fact that these melanated females had so much power and ability to operate such type of ship machinery that they as men have never even built or had a mind large enough to fathom could exist. Otherwise, they wouldn't try to keep it so hush-hush on earth.
Traces of a violent disturbance that had taken place on it, from having laser holes blasted into them, from bodies being found in pieces, and being found in suspicious ways, showing that they were in a state of panic and violence.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is that I can see right here that this head is completely intact, and it was so intact that they were able to take the bone fragments off of her face just like they did on the other pilot that we saw. So see, you can't give me that bullshit, because if there's so much violence with so much lasers and everything going on, why does she look so intact right there? And then you tell us they cut her head off, but you won't let us see the rest of her body and prove that her head is severed from it. So you always want to come up with some act of barbarism and everything that you can never prove. You just say that, but you didn't prove that to us. You showed us the face. You showed us the other lady whole body, so why not show us the butchered barbarism that you say you claim you found too? Now let's see that.
It's at the time that the flood effects were taking place. And so much of that.
I figured he would
really
decline.
Wrap your head around that. That these people were living in a very violent society.
Yeah, like America. See, this is how they always savage us all the damn time.
Right now, they basically got her on Apollo 20, and so this shot right here was basically to show you the after shot of when they had it all removed. They had a female doctor who was with them as an astronaut, and she was the one who removed the tubings off her face. And key things to notice is that when they removed the tubes off her face, they said that this ooze, this type of eerie ooze, was oozing out of her eyes and out of her nose. They believe that that might have been part of the cartilage of her brain and the flesh of her eye. That, at the